Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everyone. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. And speaking of friends, it is a crowded house today. We've got Trevor Hillstrom coming live right from his hospital bed after having major surgery today. Unreal. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel good. What the heck? I got nothing better to do in this bed.
That's a diehard right there. We got Johnny Danger. Do you have anything better to do tonight, Danger, than this?
I mean, I got out of the hot tub and got dressed just to be here with you, Doc.
It's true. And then in his Brewers hat, we've got Chris Prince, Beermakers fan. Look at you, the OG of the OG of the OG, joining us.
Hey, glad to be here, guys. You know, respect you guys. Go way back with John, and how can I not be here? Trevor's here, you know, straight from the hospital. So glad to be a part of it and ready to talk some Week 15.
All right. Trevor was literally texting me earlier. These are the guys he likes, and we were already on the same page, which is crazy. So let's get right to it. Last week was a real big correlation week, right? There were a lot of guys you wanted to have certain games. Beer, what about this week? Are there any things you like? Are there certain games that, before we even start looking at the slate, are there certain games that are popping out? That Lions-Ram game is pretty good. The Giant game is pretty good. There's a lot of high scores in this one.
Yeah, a lot of high totals. Baltimore, Cincinnati, you know, Baltimore fighting for their playoff lives. So really like that one. Close spread, 51.5 on that one. Buffalo, New England, you know, we're kind of seeing the Patriots take over the AFC East, so big game there. The Chiefs, we have that intrigue, you know, fighting for their playoff lives. Who thought we'd ever say that? You got Phillip Rivers, potentially, who should be on this show with us. It may take the field this week, so that's intriguing. I don't know how much we want in DFS, but just as a fan, I'm excited to see how that looks. Dallas, Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of great games on the slate this week. And, you know, we got a nice afternoon slate as well. Sometimes we only get 2 to 3. We got a nice split of games this week.
Trevor, this is a slate that in the past couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of low totals. But as Beer said, Cincinnati's at a 51.5. The Patriot game is 49.5. Detroit is 55.5. The Giant game is at 47. Does that scare you a little bit? Or do you feel like it's easy to take advantage of these high numbers?
I think we take advantage of these high numbers because, and there's other games where we have some little bit of value, so we can get to these high-priced players. And you got to figure that Rams team is going to put up 30-plus points, and Baltimore's got to play better this week against Cincinnati. You would think. You would. Danger. Are those Sims firing up? Are you getting ready to attack them?
I love the correlation. You know I do. I like late night hammers, as you know I do. But I think that, you know, we got to watch out for one game that you might not need a correlation. The second highest team total on the block are my 49ers. You got Brock Purdy. You got CMC. You got a team total at 28. I mean, you can't forget about those guys, even though Tennessee might not put up a fight.
No, Tennessee did an incredible job last week. I mean, did that shock you guys before we hit it? Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoever thought that was going to win somebody $1 million?
That game was so easy to just, don't need anybody out of this game. And then you're watching it. You're like, of course. That's kind of the story of the season. As soon as we think we know, we don't know anything is what it feels like. But yeah, that was insane. So it just shows there's value to mine out of every game.
So the only thing you thought about that game is everybody, all the public was on the under. When all the public goes one way, sometimes it's best to play it the other.
So let's kick off with this game. We'll get to the high-priced quarterbacks in a second, but let's go back to Shedeur. Jordan Love showed us last week that Chicago can be beaten with the deep ball, right? The explosive plays. Shedeur is not afraid to chuck it downfield. Beer, can we go back to Shedeur again this week, or does that feel like one time too many?
I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'll land on him. You know, I think at their core, and they may have seen something last week that changes this, but they want to run the ball. You know, I don't know that they want to have him drop back that many times, and he looked good. It was a come from behind script, so we know that always helps a little bit, but he looked good. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from him for all the all the talk about he's a bust. What are we doing with this guy? And he waits his turn and finally gets out there and, he lets it rip. He makes plays. He made some plays with his legs. I think you can. He's not my favorite quarterback this week, but at that price, I don't see why we can't go back to him. Now, the question is, we want to stack. I think Fannin is your guy. That they seem to have a good connection, but outside of that, you're really throwing darts, with Judy, with Bond, with guys like that. But yeah, I think he's cheap enough. It's a good enough matchup. They have nothing to lose. Why not? Let's go out and play our game. So I'm certainly intrigued by it.
Trevor, we have a lot of really good quarterbacks that are high priced in great situations. Allen, May, Lamar Jackson, even though you hate him, he's in a great spot. Matthew Stafford in a great spot. We have been doing really well recently paying down for quarterback. Are you changing your mind this week and paying up?
Well, if I'm making 3 lineups, I'm definitely going to pay up for Stafford and one because I just think he's going to score 20 fantasy points against Detroit. There's no doubt. So, he can get in that 30 range too if he has a big game. I'm not going to be on Allen too much, I don't think. But the guy that I want to get, I want to get the Dart as the cheaper guy that I want to pay at 5,600. Great match against Washington. Hey, if McCarthy can throw 3 touchdown passes against him, he can too, and he can run one in. I mean, that Washington Commander defense, I don't know what you saw last week. They are horrible. And I told you last week on Saturday Night Live, the Vikings were going to demolish them.
We had it. We called it. We called McCarthy. We said the Vikings. That was good for you.
No, Danger. On the Saturday show, Danger and Justin gave me a lot of grief for that. I don't.
All right, Danger.
It's more of a poo-poo on J.J. McCarthy, who got gifted beautiful field position the entire game. He's still terrible.
He had a 96-yard drive.
It's terrible.
Danger, talk to me. What are the Sims saying? Are you agreeing with the Sims?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the Sims are saying that Dart is not only the most optimal, but he's also going to be the highest owned. So, Dart certainly isn't going to be sneaky. He's going to be plenty played. But I think you got to kind of take some of that matchup. Washington's terrible. CJ Stroud pops up there. Guys not named, Lamar or Allen. Kind of thinking about going back to Hurts after that disaster of a game.
Let's talk about CJ Stroud for a millisecond. I mean, the Cardinals have been one of the worst defenses that we've seen in a long time. Walter Nolan, their great prize first-round pick, has played like 2 minutes this whole season. Beer, can we go back to that team? Woody Marks is injured. Nick Chubb, they're both not practicing. I know it's really early in the week, but does this feel like Stroud to Collins to Schultz is going to pay us some money?
Yeah, I don't mind it. You just question the upside with CJ Stroud compared with, some of the other guys that we're going to talk about. They're going to get it done on the ground. Jackson Dart is going to add rushing value. There's so many mobile quarterbacks, and Stroud gives you a little bit of that. There's some cheap stacking partners, like you mentioned, going with, guys like Higgins, the tight end Schultz. Collins is expensive, but this feels like a kind of an ugly game. I don't know how much upside we get out of this game, but again, Cleveland, Tennessee showed us anything is possible. So I don't mind it. I just question the upside with CJ Stroud.
Trevor, you said you want to get to Dart. I couldn't agree with you more. He feels like the right call. But what if we flip the script there? What about Marcus Mariota against a giant defense that's not very good? And Mariota has flashed at certain times.
Yeah, well, you want them to fall behind. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot with Rodriguez. If they fall behind, I mean, he could definitely score 20-plus points in that 5,000. That's good. I'm more apt to pay for Dart. But, I'm a volume player, so I'll definitely have some lineups with him. But if I'm playing 3 lineups, I'm not going to get the Mariota.
Beer, do you play how many lineups? Are you a 150? Are you a 5,000 lineup guy like Trevor?
No. I could never do the 150. So I'm generally around 20 is my kind of ballpark. I like to blend I'm old school. I still like to write stuff down, and the Sims are part of what we do now. But I like to come. Yes. That's why we're all going to get along so well here. So Sims and all of this new evolution of the game, you got to play into it some. I still like to use my own head to figure things out, not just something spitting out lineups for me. So But 150 is all. It's too much for me between doing shows, things like that, kids, yada yada. 20 is kind of my sweet spot where I can still handle it, feel comfortable, and I'm not trying to make wholesale changes at the last minute. So,
Danger, I know you're a single entry kind of guy.
Yep.
You have one single entry bullet. Who is your quarterback this week?
I mean, if I'm playing in the Danger League that all four of us play in here, it's probably going to be a guy like Dart. It's probably going to go with the chalk, go with the guy under under $6,000 is going to get me 23 points safely. If I'm going to play in a larger tournament, I'm probably going to go away from the field and look at people down the line a little bit. Like I said, Brock Purdy doesn't really jump out when you see all these matchups, but is fully capable of putting up 3 touchdowns.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, of course.
When you're talking about chalk on a quarterback, that's the one position I rarely pay attention to chalk about for sure. There's so many quarterbacks. They're never going to be more than what is Dart even 12, 13% owned?
Yeah,
Right.
15 at the moment. Yep.
15. I mean, the big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So last week we had a lot of expensive running backs that we all felt like we had to have. But Chan, we had to have, got hurt. James Cook, we had to have. Dude didn't find the end zone. Jonathan Taylor was too expensive. All these guys we had to have, you weren't going to make money. Tony Pollard was a guy who I never even considered. He's still running in Cleveland. They can't catch him. So, Beer, here's my question. When you try to set your lineup, and we look at the slate here, are you saying McCaffrey and a cheap guy? Do you want to be on an expensive guys? Do you want to pay up for receiver? When you're looking at this slate, where do you want to be? Expensive running back or expensive receiver?
I think I prefer expensive receiver this week. McCaffrey would be the one guy I want to spend up on. Johnny mentioned they're in a good spot. They're also coming off a bye. So, a week of rest for this guy who we know has such a big workload is going to do wonders. And this team is fighting. You have the Rams. You have Seattle still ahead of them. So I think they're going to do well offensively. He's going to get another big workload. Some of the other expensive guys aren't as appealing this week. The James Cooks, Jahmyr Gibbs in a tough spot here. So I think hitting the mid-range makes a lot of sense, whether you want to go double mid-range running backs or you want to pair them with McCaffrey. So a couple different ways you could build. And then you have Saquon Barkley. I agree with whoever brought up Jalen Hurts. I think Philly needs to make a statement here. And I think their offense is going to blow up here. The Raiders, we know, have packed it in. So Barkley's only at 7,100. Great price on him. I think he's another solid player. There's a lot of good plays down in the mid-range this week.
Trevor, you had mentioned to me McCaffrey, but if you get McCaffrey, it's going to be really hard to get those Rams receivers in and maybe St. Brown. Where are you first starting at running back?
At running back?
Yep.
Oh, well, I'm going to play it both ways. If I'm going to have a couple lineups that pay down at receiver, then I want CMC. But if I'm paying up at receiver, then no. I love Barkley this week. I really do. He's really just pops off at me, especially after last week. I wanted to be on Marks, but Marks is banged up. Do we need, who I like? I like the guy from Washington,
Rodriguez.
Yeah, because, if you watched them play last week against Minnesota, this is how dumb Washington is. They run right down the field. They get first and goal at the Viking 3-yard line. They give them the ball once, makes a second goal and one, and they pass them. So, I mean, give the guy the ball. If he gets 20 touches against the Giants, he's going to get 100 yards and a touchdown, I think. And with Mariota there, they might do it.
No, I agree. Danger. There are guys like Rodriguez and Ramondre Stevenson who I adore on FanDuel. I think those guys are scoring touchdowns. They feel like easy clicks for me because they're cheap and I can get my expensive receivers in. But on DraftKings, I might not see those receptions, which is going to hurt me. Are you in on Barkley? Are you in on Rodriguez? Where do you want to be?
I do want to mention that Rodriguez did not practice today to a groin injury, so watch out for that dude too.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can run all over Buffalo. You can absolutely run all over Buffalo. And we saw that, Henderson rips off 150 yards. The next week, they give 50% of the carries to Stevenson. So I'm having a hard time paying up for Trevion. I think you can save $1,000. You can go to Stevenson. They didn't raise Tony Pollard's price much at all. Who knows what they can do against San Fran. Sometimes San Fran shuts down the run. Sometimes they give up a lot of dump off passes. So there are some players down there. I'm probably feeling a little safer in the mid-range with guys like Travis Etienne. I kind of like RJ Harvey as they continue to give him more touches. So I really like that mid-range, but I am going to try to jam CMC in everywhere I can.
Beer, I'm a little annoyed at the optimizers because second week running now, they're screaming Ashton Genty. Genty was a terrible play last week. He feels like a terrible play this week, but the optimizers still list him as he's the guy that you need to have. Is he the guy we need to have?
I don't think so. I was in the same camp last week. Sometimes, and that goes back to, the hand building, and, sometimes you see things in the optimizer and it can't account for everything. And I think it's accounting for, yes, he gets a incredible workload and he's much more involved in the passing game. The price is down to 5,800 on DraftKings. So all the signs are there. I just can't see this team being competitive. And now we have Geno Smith may not play. So what's this offense going to look like? And okay, he catches 5-6 passes and he rushes for 30, 40 yards. Is that going to win me a tournament? It's not. So I'm with you. I really have no interest in Genty as of now. Things can change, but right now I don't have any interest. I just want to echo John's comment on Travis Etienne, who we'll see. Did Tootin fumble his way out of a role, which it's kind of been annoying all season. I liked Etienne 2 weeks ago coming off a game. He does, and Tootin ends up playing well. Etienne bounces back, and I think they're going to be able to kill it on the ground. I don't know if the passing game is going to have to be too involved in this one. So he feels like one of those guys that could score a couple touchdowns, pair him with the defense, who I love this week, and I think the Jags roll.
Trevor, RJ Harvey is going to pop on optimizers. You and I both know it. I liked him last week. I don't know how much I love him this week against Green Bay. But, Swift and Monangai weren't bad last week. It was just Caleb Williams is bad. Do you like Harvey? Will you roll with him?
I will play him in some lineups for sure because he can catch a lot of passes. And I just want to say back to the optimizer, you can't just go by what the optimizer says. For those who, 90% of the time, if I feel like the optimizer isn't right on it, then I don't play it. And I'm usually right. But I do think that we can go with Harvey for sure. I think he's going to catch some passes. Don't like him as much as I liked him last week against the Raiders, but I still like him this week. But I'm going to sign off. I got people in here. I got nurses in the room. I got to go, man.
We love you, Trevor. Feel better.
Later.
See you, Trevor.
Be good, Trevor.
All right. Take care, guys.
It's like he's in the hospital or something.
That may be the most dedication I've ever seen to somebody jumping on a show. So kudos to Trevor.
Doc, one guy on the optimizer that is popping up, which happens frequently, and I never like the play, but I got to ask because Indianapolis's defense is just absolutely being brutalized right now. Half their team is out. Kenneth Walker is making a strong play in the leverage scores. I don't like it, but sometimes I see these things and you come up with a reason why.
Well, he's playing at home. Mm-hmm. And he has looked explosive, right? There have been carries where you're like, oh, that's Kenneth Walker. He looks good. Mm-hmm. So I think, and they're supposed to score 28? Is it, what's the number? It's a high number, right?
28, yeah.
So we've got 4 touchdowns playing at home and a lopsided game. Is this the week that Walker finds the end zone? Yes. I think, would I bet on the prop bet? Yes. Would I put him in my DFS lineup? No, because I'd like to win money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right, Beer, before we leave running backs, is there a super cheap running back that you're saying, you know what, I got my eye on this guy just in case?
I am digging in and trying to find anything I can on this Carolina split. We saw Chuba Hubbard be much more involved last week, and as fun as Rico Dowdle has been, and this is the best he's ever looked, in my opinion. I watch him at times. I'm like, he looks like he shot out of a cannon. Where was this Rico Dowdle in Dallas? We just didn't get it, but Hubbard looked great, kind of the best that he's looked in quite some time. So it's still going to be a split. I think that's a split that there's enough room for both of those guys to do really well. So he's intriguing to me at 4,600. I think a lot of people are going to look at this. I don't know who it's going to be. I've seen many of backfields where 2 guys can get it done. So again, I'm going to keep digging in here. It's early in the week, but that one is awfully intriguing to me under 5,000.
I love that call. Danger, I'm a big fan of that call. I also think Bill Krosky Merritt, if Rodriguez is not 100%, I think both those guys can be uber sneaky.
I think so. And going back to mentioning, Stevenson, they still trust him. And it's a great matchup against Buffalo. They're gonna have to run both those running backs 18 times.
I'm playing Stevenson on FanDuel. He's a lock button for me. I don't care. I believe he's going to score, right? And I believe that Buffalo can be run on. That's their Achilles heel. All right, let's get to wide receivers, guys. I know I need to be in on that Lions-Rams game. Last week, Beer, we saw the Puka game. Is this the Devontae Adams week that I need to have?
I'm always a fan of Adams. Obviously Puka finally got it going, like you said. But Adams has been basically their goal line back. I mean, they get close, they're looking for him, and there's nobody better when they do get close. So I think they're going to want to pound this team. So I think, the doubles are always in play. They're expensive, but I think you can play both guys. But week in, week out, and we talk about this on some of our shows, Adams is always way lower owned than Puka, and I get it. Puka's great, put the big game on the board, but I'm always playing Devontae Adams at low ownership, especially on FanDuel. We want touchdowns. Yeah. Adams is your guy for touchdowns. So anytime he's going to be low owned in a high scoring game, Stafford against his former team, this is a big one. So yeah, I love Devontae Adams.
Danger at 55.5. The Rams are not good against slot receivers. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown feels really like a really good play here. Adams feels like a good play here. Am I missing other guys that you like?
I mean, I don't think so. The way that I built 3 lineups already, just trying to make sure I get this game right. And I tend to find myself on Puka and JMO or on Adams and St. Brown. It's tough to get the 2 top guys in together if you want any semblance of a lineup. Besides that, even putting Shadur Sanders in at quarterback, it's really hard to make everything else look good. Putting Puka and Adams and St. Brown in, it just doesn't work. So it'll be interesting. I do want to get your take on Williams. You've been kind of a Williams whisperer over the last couple of years. He saves you a lot of money here in this matchup at 6,100.
I'm not playing him for the reason I told you, because the Rams let up a lot to the slot.
Right.
And so it's not that I don't like Jameson, and Dan Campbell has done a fantastic job of finding him. And I think without Laporta there, it's been better. I just feel like there's certain games that are St. Brown games, because that Rams pass rush is so tough. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to have to and Williams needs time for that play to develop, where I don't know whether Goff is going to have that time. So that's why I'm leaning St. Brown. What do you think, Beer? Were you with me on that, or do you like Jameson?
No, I much prefer Amon-Ra. Like you said, I think the pressure, they're going to have to get the ball out quick. So that's good for ASB. Not so good for JMO, although they're getting a little bit more creative in how they use him. So, and it could be a help to Gibbs. He may be low owned and he could get there 7-8 receptions on DraftKings. So if he's going to be low owned, he'll be intriguing as well. But much prefer St. Brown of the 2 this week. Even with the elevated price, I think he's the better play.
All right. Last week, I knew I needed to have JSN in my lineups. I knew it. I kind of feel like I do this week. Indianapolis is awful against slots as well. Charvarius Ward is injured. Sauce is out. I mean, this could be Sam Darnold play action pass and going for big plays here. Danger, do you like JSN? Can you see a world where you're like Adams and JSN, or would you rather be Amon-Ra, St. Brown and Adams?
I mean, how can you not love JSN with third string cornerbacks trying to cover him? My only issue is, do they play another game like they did against Minnesota and not need him? And I mean, that was crazy. That's a once in a lifetime game where they win by like 30 points and JSN's not involved. But I mean, who knows? I mean, who's at quarterback there?
Phillip Rivers.
This could be another Rivers, right? This could be another defensive just domination by Seattle. So it scares me a little bit to put JSN in there. I'm actually leaning a little bit lower than that, Doc, and I'm looking at Nico Collins after watching what Arizona did to that team, or after what Arizona gave up in the last couple of games. I mean, I think Nico Collins is the play at 6,700.
He's a total play. He is. Beer, are you going up to JSN? Will you rather be at Nico, or do you want to drop down more?
I think I like Jamar Chase, the best out of that group. And again, we're nitpicking here. All these guys are fantastic. The case for JSN, they're still fighting with the Rams. Do they want to get him 2,000 yards? But I tend to side more with you guys. And are they really going to have to do that much? Do we really believe that 44, 45-year-old Phillip Rivers is going to make this a game? I don't. I would be shocked if he does. So I think it's a game. Walker can get there. Charbonnet could be involved. The defense, and we really don't need that much JSN. Where Baltimore fighting for their playoff, or Cincinnati is out of it, but they can still stick it to Baltimore here. So I really like Chase. No Higgins. I know that'll draw more coverage to him, but Burrow and Chase is just a connection we don't see very often. So he's probably my favorite if I'm spending up.
Last week, guys, Luther Burden popped, Vele popped, Pat Bryant popped. Burden gave us 10 points. The other two guys were not special. But it seems like when we want to get these high-end receivers, we're going to have to find a guy about 4,000 or less. Danger, do you have one of those guys or two of those guys this week?
Well, my initial read was Pat Bryant over in Denver, but it looks like he also popped up with an injury today. But it's just Wednesday. We get those a lot. So tough to say. I like him a lot. I like A.D. Mitchell. If Wilson's not out there again at 44, it's a little more expensive than you asked me. But there's a few. I mean, the Sims are saying they like Noah Brown, which I do not and don't know what they're talking about. But sometimes things pop up that
Noah Brown's a good play. Noah Brown is a guy that makes explosive plays, right? He goes deep, and if the Giants secondary is horrible. So Beer, you mentioned that Cincinnati game. You mentioned Chase.
Right.
But we know when one of those guys is out, Gesicki, this kid Tinsley. At 3,100, all he's got to do is maybe find that end zone. If this game's going to be 50 some odd points, can he go 2 for 30 and a touchdown, and all of a sudden I'm loving life?
You stole the name out. I was waiting for you to come to me, and he was the name that I was going to give you. You said 4K. How about 3,100 for Mitchell Tinsley, who we've seen pop in the preseason, the big athletic kid that can go up and make plays. And you have Joe Burrow throwing you the football with really nothing to lose but to stick it to the Baltimore Ravens. So it's almost a perfect scenario. He is my favorite value by far on this slate. It's just going to open up so much. Is it risky? Of course it is. Give me any player under 4,000 that's not risky. So I like his profile. I like the amount of work that he's going to get. I'm not a big fan of, Yoshi Voss, guys like that. Gesicki's fine. His role definitely increases with the injuries, but Tinsley is a flyer that I will absolutely be going after this weekend.
All right, let's turn our attention to tight end, guys. We have seen names like Trey McBride just skyrocket in price. Bowers looked pretty good last week. Kittle has a great matchup. Warren could run the ball a little bit when they get to the red zone, but it feels like DraftKings is saying you need to be cheap this week. Fannin is 4,000. Mark Andrews is 3,900. Goddard is 3,800. Theo Johnson is 3,500. Is there any reason, Danger, that I need to pay more than $4,000?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if I'm going to play Purdy, I'm probably fitting Kittle in there, but that's the only reason why I'd pay up. I mean, I even like Likely against that terrible defense that Cincinnati is going to throw up there, and he's even cheaper. So no, don't pay up this week. Don't do it.
What, Beer, do you agree with that?
I do, and I've been on the train of, McBride. I've been saying on our shows, I don't care what he costs. I don't care the ownership. Just keep playing him. We keep waiting for, the magic to kind of end, and we kind of saw it last week with Brissett and McBride and Wilson. It's been fun, but this is a tough draw. I mean, we saw how good this defense is, especially that secondary. They're just loaded across the board. In fact, their whole back seven is loaded. So I just don't know that this is a spot that they're going to generate a lot of offense. So I agree with the cheap tight ends. I think there's some great names. We keep mentioning that Detroit Rams game. Colby Parkinson's been awfully involved, and Higbee's going to be back. or already is back, but Parkinson's kind of taken that job and kind of run with it. So he's very intriguing at a cheap price. You got Barner down there, 3,200. I like Likely as well. I'm glad you brought him up. You can go to Andrews, who nobody's going to want to play off a dud. There's just so many guys. Hunter Henry, a lot of ways that you can go cheap here. I don't think you need to spend up. I do like the Kittle call. I think the Niners are going to roll. So I'll either want McCaffrey or somebody in that pass catching core in the spot against Tennessee.
Barner is so sneaky, by the way, because Arroyo is injured. He may not even play. Barner is already a guy that they use. I mean, I don't think Indianapolis has been horrible against opposing tight ends.
Yep.
But I want to ask both you guys one simple question. I don't ever like chasing last week's points. I know Fannin is good, but here's what I also know. I think his name is Kevin Winston. He is generationally bad at stopping tight ends. Like really one of the worst. I think PFF has him as the worst. Do we go back to Fannin this week? Do we go back there? Yes?
It seems that him and Shador, that's the connection. And I love how creative they are. You know, this guy is not your traditional tight end. They're using him in so many different ways, out of the backfield, screens. They're just looking for ways to get him the ball. And he's a grown man when he gets the ball. I mean, he makes plays. So I think you absolutely can. I don't think we're chasing. I think he's been one of the best tight ends here over the last couple of weeks. I don't think that slows down with Shador, who this will be a much tougher spot. He's that security blanket. We know young quarterbacks, they want that guy. Things start breaking down. Who can I go to? Fannin's going to be that guy for him rather than the Judys, the Bonds down the field. So I really like the play this week.
Mm-hmm. Herbar says Theo Johnson is Dart's guy on that same line.
So. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I like Theo Johnson. Trevor texted me before he even knew he was going on. It was like, go with Theo Johnson.
Hey, Doc, this is what I want. I want a rule change, and I know he's not on the slate, but I want an extra point for every defensive player that tight end Washington from Pittsburgh runs over every time he catches the ball.
Talk about a grown man. That guy is fun to watch.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington from Pittsburgh. He's 6'7", 319 pounds, according to the internet.
Yeah, he's nuts. He's nuts. I'm going to give you the sneakiest guy that nobody will ever bring up, but let it happen here on this show. Mm-hmm. First name, first look. Ben Sinnott.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
K-State.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Absolutely.
Ertz may never play football again.
No,
I think he's done. And Ben Sinnott was so good at K-State, and we haven't seen him yet because Ertz, you remember Ertz used to get hurt, hasn't gotten hurt in a while. Ertz used to play like crap. He's been playing great for the last 2 years. So there's been no way that they can get this guy in the lineup because you can't take Ertz out. But I think this is a guy. How much is he? Is he dirt cheap?
He might be at the bottom. Let me see if I can find him.
He's super cheap. I know that.
2,700.
Oh yeah, please sign me up.
Yeah,
Doc, I have him on 2 dynasty teams out of 3 because you told me to at the beginning of the year. I got him in the 4th round of rookie draft.
I'm not saying he's going to do anything tremendous, but we know the Giants are terrible defensively, and it allows me to get those receivers up or McCaffrey or just do more. Beer, here's a question for you. Can we go 2 cheap tight ends this week? If you like Sinnott, we like Tinsley. Can we go with 2 cheapos like that, or is that just so risky?
I think you can this week. The problem is I think a lot of people are going to go that route. Everyone's going on to fit in the Rams and the Lions and McCaffrey, and I think you're going to see a lot of a double cheap tight end with all the guys we just named, and there's even more. But I'm glad you brought up Sinnott. I think he could be the one. If people aren't sure, they're going to bring up John Bates. John Bates' role is not going to change. I think he's going to play the exact same role that he's always played. And think back to Zach Ertz in Arizona, and there was a second-round tight end that wasn't getting on the field named Trey McBride with the same coaches, offensive coordinators, and whatnot. So I think this kid can play. He was a baller at Kansas State, did a lot of season-long waivers today, and he was an ad that I added in some spots and some more running tonight, and I think it's a great dart. Again, nobody's going to feel confident about it. These are the spots I want to go to in tournaments when it's murky, it's unclear. 2,700 is going to open up a lot for you. So I'm really glad you brought him up.
All right, before I get to we'll do a lineup together. Is there a defense? I mean, I know Danger usually I like to go for the cheapest defense. I don't do that. I want because I've seen I've lost money this year because I didn't have Seattle or I didn't have the defense. Like I had the rest of the lineup was good. I just didn't have the defense. Danger, is there a lineup? Is there a defense that the Sims are saying, Doc, play me?
I mean, it's the two at the top. The Sims both love Texans and Seahawks this week. They like them quite a bit. My cheap punt of the week before I looked at any of these Sims was the Saints at $2,500, but I'm probably off that at some point. But I like the Jags. Beer said he liked the Jags earlier. I do too, 3,900. So yeah, the three top defenses and price wise are the three that I like.
Beer, you feel the same way? You going with the Jaguars?
Yeah, I really like Jacksonville. I mean, we have Tyrod and Fields questionable. So, who are they rolling out at quarterback? I've been spending up more. Generally, I've been in Danger's camp. I want to be cheap to open up some more salary, but some of these higher end defenses are just scoring so well. So if I am going cheap, I agree on the Saints call. That's another season-long team I've stashed because they have a great schedule coming up to close out the season. But I really like Jacksonville. I'm going to keep hammering this Phillip Rivers thing. I think Seattle absolutely dominates here. So they've already shown they can put some big scores on the board. So I'll have some lineups, when you want to fit some studs in and you end up going cheap at defense, probably the Saints. But I'll have a lot of Seattle, and I'm going to have a lot of Jacksonville this week.
I'm going to give you guys a really bad analogy, but this is what happened to me. Do you ever play in poker tournaments?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's how Beer and I actually became friends.
So the first time I ever went to a poker tournament, everything moved so quickly. And I felt like it took me a half hour to just kind of get on the treadmill and be able to stay with it.
Yep.
Luckily, I kept my chips and I didn't get kicked out early. My point is, I got to feel it's similar for Phillip Rivers. To come in and to get that playing speed where Seattle is coming at you that quickly. I can't imagine how he's a tough dude. I'm not going to mess with Phillip Rivers. Guy's got 800 children, right? He's a coach. He's got everything. But he's going to get knocked on his butt. He's going to have slow reactions. He threw interceptions when he was healthy. And how's he going to escape this crazy Seattle front seven coming at him? Beer, to me, I agree with you on Jacksonville, but do you agree with me about Seattle?
Seattle's the best play for sure. I think Jacksonville will go lower owned just because most people are going to have that same sentiment that this is the play. So it's more of a leverage play just to lower some ownership. But yeah, what can we draw up a tougher? Hey, Phil, we need you to come back and we need you to start on the road. Okay, where? In Seattle against potentially the best defense in the league. Yeah, sure. Sign me up for that. We couldn't draw up a worse spot for him. So I think you're going to see a lot of Jonathan Taylor, whether it works or not. I don't know how much they're going to put this guy at risk. Now they're still fighting as well for the playoffs. So it's not like they can just kind of hand the ball off. It's not working. Oh, well, he's going to be put in some spots. Like you said, he was turnover prone to begin with. Now we're 4 years of rust. Oh, yeah, Seattle is clearly the best play. Jacksonville is just a nice pivot because they're in that same pricing range, and I think more people are going to prefer Seattle.
All right, guys, let's come up with a team. Let's see if we can give a first.
Hey, Jack, one more good question here that I think Beer is going to disagree with. I don't know here. Omaha over Hold'em?
No.
No way. No way, no. Permar. You're out of line.
No. Omaha's fun, for sure. The problem is you get a bunch of dudes over and 5 of the 20 or 30 know how to play Omaha, and you got to explain it, and it's a fun game. Just not a lot of people that play it.
All right, give me a quarterback. Who is our guy this week? Consensus wins.
I think we go dart and see. If we're worried about ownership, we can go off of it. But I do think he price wise, point per dollar wise, and upside wise, I think he checks a lot of boxes.
Danger, you good with that?
I'm good with dart.
All right, I'm locking him in. All right, running back. ETN?
I like that a lot.
Okay. Are there better guys?
The problem, ETN, we're hopeful that, I love Tootin. I do. Been a big fan of a lot of my dynasty teams, but we'll see if ETN kind of steals this away. But that's a matchup that, again, both of those guys could get there. So
do we want Barkley? I mean, talk to me, Danger.
I mean, Barkley rate's a little higher. He's only $600 more. But I like them both. ETN jumped off the page when I first opened the Sims today.
We know Danger wants some Niners in that lineup.
Do you want McCaffrey and ETN, Danger?
I mean, I think you have to play either Kittle or McCaffrey. One or both of those guys getting 2 touchdowns. That's what I think.
Am I crazy to think that a bunch of guys could get 1 touchdown and they're all not going to pay off?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I'm going to not put McCaffrey in, not because I don't like him, because I know we like receivers.
So expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's come back to that second running back.
Mm-hmm.
What receiver do we have to have? Who's the must start?
I mean, I think you got to play a Ram or a Lion. I don't know that we have to stack it, but I think a one-off at least.
I mean, maybe Amon-Ra and whichever of Adams and Puka fits best, I think makes sense. A little mini stack.
I'm with you. I'm on Ra and Adams. I'm locking them in. Tight end, Danger wants Kittle at 54, but man, you want to spend up?
No,
we go cheap.
I mean, I think the most expensive we can play is Fannin. I also like going down to several of the names that you both liked earlier and seeing where we land. I'd rather a cheap tight end and pay up to Seattle than a mid-range tight end and have to pay down to Saints.
Do we want? All right, so 2 questions, Beer. Do we want Tinsley? Do we want Sinnott? Or do we want to go higher?
I am more confident in Tinsley than I am in Ben Sinnott. I like them both, but I know that Tinsley's going to be out there. We assume Sinnott's going to be out there and involved. Again, I like them both, but Tinsley's the one I think is the
I'll put Tinsley in there so it gives us more flexibility. Who's our tight end? Do you want Fannin? Do we want Theo?
I mean, if we're playing Dart, I kind of like throwing Theo in there, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Okay. Better than, I mean, don't we know that a Baltimore Raven tight end will score?
Oh, yeah. They probably both score.
So do we want Andrews over Theo?
I would honestly say likely if we're playing a Baltimore tight end.
All right. Danger, do you like likely?
I like likely.
All right. He's in. Okay. So what about a defense? Give me the defense that we need to have.
I mean, we gushed about Seattle. Let's just put them in there and see what we're looking like.
So here's the team as of this second. Dart, ETN, we need a running back. St. Brown, Adams, Tinsley, likely, Seattle. We have 6,300 for 2 players, or we can go up and down. What do you want?
So if we did play McCaffrey, what does that look like?
3,600.
Oof.
If you did Saquon, you would have 5,500.
Kind of like that.
Okay.
Unless we could go double cheap tight end, that could be.
Or did you like Nico Collins, Danger?
I love Nico Collins.
And then you'd have a running back of 5,900.
Which would be Woody Marks if he could play. RJ Harvey is in that range.
Do we like Harvey?
How much did you say? We have
to lose $100 somewhere.
Yeah, say it.
Easy to do.
$100.
We didn't bring up DeAndre Swift. Do we like Swift? I mean, we saw gaping holes last week that Tennessee found. Ben Johnson may be the best play caller I've seen ever devising plays. Can he devise any for Chicago and Swift?
I think the problem is the split with Monangai. I mean, they're pretty much working, side by side now. So to have one blow up for a big game, it can happen for sure, but the odds are drastically lower when there's 2 guys kind of splitting the work. Is my concern.
All right, if I go to the cheap defense, I'm just going to change the defense. Give me a cheap one that you guys like. Oh, the Saints, right?
Yep.
So now, look at this. Look at this. Ready? Tell me if you like it or hate it. Dart, ETN, Saquon, St. Brown, Adams, Tinsley, Likely, Nico Collins, and the Saints.
Sounds good to me.
Is that a winner?
I'm putting it in as we speak in a little single entry.
Wow, look at that. Does that feel like a winner to you, Beard? Is there enough explosive players there?
Yeah, and I think we're, different in enough spots. We're taking some chances on some lower-owned guys in a low-end defense, price-wise, but we got a lot of explosive players in that lineup. Adams, again, always low-owned. So I think we got enough upside, some low-owned plays. I like it.
All right.
Yeah, Permar had a question for us, Doc, and it's not necessarily about this, so I saved it to the end. But he wants to know what you think of Egbuka and Evans tomorrow night. Sims have him at 15 for Egbuka, 17 for Evans. But what do you think Evans does coming back for his first game? Anything?
It's a great question. As much as I like Tampa, I'm very scared about this game. Very scared. Why? Because you can't not feed Mike Evans in his first game back. It's Baker's first look. Then, I forgot, there's Chris Godwin there. Now, luckily, Kate Otten's probably not playing. So that gives a little bit more to all three of those guys. But, Bucky Irving's there. So I'm just a little bit worried that everybody's going to get a taste and none of these guys is going to get enough. So I would say I prefer Evans slightly over Egbuka, but neither guy is really making. Are they your showdown captain, Beer? Because they wouldn't be mine.
No, and you may have McMillan back too. I don't know if they've said if he's going to play or not. That just throws another wrench. Smaller wrench, but it's still another guy out there that can generate targets.
Right, I'm with you. So I don't know, Danger. It's like people have been asking, and I hate Thursday games to begin with. And with Drake London out, Kirk Cousins is a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that Todd Bowles is going to bring the blitz.
Showdown Optimizer says to play David Sills. So.
Somebody's got to catch the ball there. So I know Pitts has been doing well, but Mooney's been hit or miss. This could be a Tampa defense captain and load up some plays.
Could you imagine if David Sills is your captain and you win because the dude went 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns?
Insane. That showdown would not surprise me.
All right. Beer, I appreciate you joining us. You did a great job.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, so appreciate you guys for having me, and best of luck to everybody this week.
And Danger, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. No gymnastics tonight?
Nah, I made the wife take him.
Thank you.
Smart man.
And of course, to Trevor, we know you're out there probably listening. We hope you feel better soon.
Absolutely.
All right. So what are we doing on Friday night? It's Friday Night Lights. Saturday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. It's me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Saturday night, Danger is back with Any Given Entry with Trevor and Justin, who wins every week, it seems. And then, of course, Sunday morning, we're back at Discord over at drroto.com. So please check us out anywhere along the way. It's your fantasy playoffs. Let us help you to win a championship. And, of course, go to RotoGrinders, right, Beer?
Absolutely. RotoGrinders.com. I'll be doing my 6-pack video. We'll have a podcast out on Saturday, tournament takes. So, yeah, join us over there as well.
All right. For Danger and Beermakersfan, this is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.